The explosion of chaos echoed through the cavern. Thwack! And bodies flew like rag dolls into the shadows. They had no idea she was coming. But now, everyone knew. Mary Jane, suited in her own spider gear, landed like a bolt of red lightning, eyes locked, heart steady. She wasn't just a wife, not just a mother. She was a force. As she swept through the enemies with a grace and fury that matched Peter's, her husband shouted to her, more startled than surprised. The battlefield was no place for sentiment. Yet, there it was, pulsing between them. Not a damsel, not a backup, an equal, a partner. And the moment Peter admitted it, she landed beside him, already fighting, already saving. They soared through the cavern's gloom, a perfect duet of webs and momentum. She reminded him he wasn't alone anymore. He hadn't been since they said, "I do." Every punch, every swing, every snarky comment between jabs, they weren't just Spider-Man and his +1. They were a team. Forged in love and fire and loss and resilience. And even in the middle of a prehistoric nightmare, dodging a freaking T-Rex, they were figuring it out together. But even as the beast roared its challenge, the real threat slithered in unseen, waiting in the dark. Then came the moment that turned courage into cold dread. Descending like a specter, the Moleman emerged from the abyss, clutching the one thing that truly mattered: Annie. Their daughter, bound, hurt, her voice trembling with regret. Everything slowed. The fight, the noise, even their breathing. This was no longer about villains or power suits, not even about Peter or Mary Jane. It was about their family, but the one life that made every sacrifice worth it. Annie was in danger, and the weight of parenthood crushed down like the ceiling of the underground lair. But far away from the underground battles and raw emotion, a different kind of day unfolded. The earnest adventures of Spider-Dad began with simple sweetness. Mary Jane entrusted Peter with a full day of daddy duty. Ice cream and Tangled marathons? Deal sealed. Annie was thrilled, charging down the hall with heart-shaped glee. The couch became their kingdom. Donuts their royal feast. Spider-Dad was off the clock, or so he thought. Reality rang, quite literally. J. Jonah Jameson's growling voice crackled through the phone demanding Spider-Man action. Peter played dumb, hanging upside down in a flannel-free rebellion. Annie giggled, fully aware of the masquerade. To the world, he was still the web-slinging hero. But to her, he was the goofball dad who couldn't send an email. Suddenly, villain alert. The Sandman towered in Midtown, and Annie spotted him first. Of course, Peter couldn't say no. With a quick TMP, he dropped her into Sandman's surprisingly gentle hands with a casual, "Can you babysit?" The hulking brute blinked, confused, but agreeable. Annie demanded a sandcastle, and soon the street was a playground sculpted from grit and magic. A braid-shaped tower rose from sand and imagination. Peter returned, proud and sheepish. Annie rode down in his arms like royalty, giggling about Sandman's architecture. One last witty jab, then off they went, swinging toward home, leaving the villain trapped beneath a playground masterpiece and one sassy kid calling out his hairdo. Night fell, hot dogs, duck rides, and the city's sparkle. When Mary Jane stepped through the door, the chaos melted into warmth. There they were, Peter and Annie, snuggled up, watching Tangled, as if they hadn't moved. "We played a lot," Annie swore. "We just sat down." MJ smiled, kissed her crew, and joined the couch kingdom. The final frame? A family silhouetted against a glowing screen. Annie whispered with a heart full of love, "You have a pretty good dad, kiddo." And she was absolutely right. Guys, remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Your support means the world to me.